What's packing, cheeseheads? It's the one and only Godchild, first of his name, back with more quality content for y'all to enjoy. And if you want to keep enjoying this quality content, I need you to sack that subscription button for me and hit the thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. I know a lot of fans on the Twitterverse are feeling real cocky and confident about this matchup this weekend. I noticed it early on, and I don't necessarily blame you because, look, Green Bay did run through the NFC West this year like Henry Ruggs through a red light, but I'm not so sure this game is going to go like a lot of fans think it will go. So this is a little objectiveness to sprinkle into that bias pie that y'all been cooking up all week. Now look, I still think the Packers are the best team in the NFL, and I do believe they can win on Saturday, and they should win. But my whole point is this is the playoffs. And while I don't think you should be afraid of the 49ers, but you should not take them lightly. You shouldn't underestimate them, and you shouldn't just expect for things to go like they did in week 3, because we have a really long track record or just a history of things not going that way. I mean, take the Packers from their 15-1 season, right? We beat the Giants in the regular season, and then we lose to them in the freaking divisional round in the playoffs. So, I mean, things don't always go as you would expect them to go. That's why I really honestly try to keep my expectations very low to non-existent, because I found in life, when you don't set expectations and they do turn out how you wanted them to turn out, it's often more gratifying and satisfying and enjoyable when it does. And if they don't turn out how you wanted it to, it's easier to detach from it, and you don't have all these negative emotions all swirling up inside you. So I think that's how really everyone should live their life. But I digress, and I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. But I am here to tell you what I think about this week's matchup. So let's get into it. If the Packers are going to win, I believe that these major keys are going to be the biggest factor to their victory. And the first one being injuries. And we're going to start off with the biggest one, that is David Bakhtiari. He's on pace to play after limited practice this week and some time off on Tuesday for load management, as LaFleur reported. But it's still not 100% sure or guaranteed that he will play, but it is a good sign for him to be at limited participation at least. Same thing goes for Cobby, okay, who LaFleur said looked really great at practice on Wednesday, and Billy Turner, Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers, and newly minted All-Pro inside linebacker Devondre Campbell. Now, as for Ja, Z, and Merciless are concerned, those people, they're still undecided at this point. And Z still has to actually be activated off injured reserve to be able to be active on the roster to play if he is going to play. And they have to do that before Saturday, so we have to keep our eyes on that to see how that develops. The only other person on the MVS that I forgot to mention was MVS. He could also be a game time decision. He was limited this week as well in practice. Now, on the other side of the ball, we have the 49ers and Mr. Jimmy G, who says he's going to play in the game on Saturday, even though he has a torn ligament in his right thumb, as well as a chipped bone and a sprained shoulder or something like that. I mean, this dude is tough as nails. I gotta give props to him for that. And he actually sustained the shoulder injury in the second quarter against Dallas. Now, Bosa is also in the concussion protocol, and linebacker Fred Warner and running back Elijah Mitchell were also limited in practice this week. Now, what does this all mean for the Green Bay Packers? It's hard to say with Bosa, but for Jimmy G and Mitchell, I think this could mean the Packers should definitely plan to see a heavy dose of Deebo Samuel and an increased role from Mr. Lance, a.k.a. Trey Area. All right. Now, the second major key to this game, D-E-E-B-O. Deebo. All right. Now, this guy has, developed into quite possibly one of the most dangerous X factors in the entire NFL. And when you look back to like that Week 3 matchup, he did have 10 targets, but only 5 receptions. But the real surprising thing was only 2 carries, even though those 2 carries only netted him absolutely 0 yards. But he had no touchdowns either. I just think that this weekend Shanahan is going to make a very concerted effort to really get him involved, especially in the running game. Because actually, like I said, the Packers did a pretty good job of him in coverage. Stokes matched up really well against him. But I just feel like this week it can be him running the ball that could cause some issues, or that could be, how he has most of his explosive plays and where a lot of his workload could come from this Saturday. But that doesn't mean we should forget about George Kittle, and that is my third major key for victory containing George Kittle, because I'm sure Kyle Shanahan, when he sat down to game plan for this week, and he popped in that Baltimore Ravens tape, and he watched Andrews run all up and down the field, and the way he just absolutely abused Darnell Savage, he probably had to excuse himself about halfway through, because as a play caller, I'm sure watching that film gave him a massive boner. But I digress. Savage is really going to be under a spotlight, I feel like, in this game, because that's usually who the Packers have covering these sorts of tight ends like this. And the crazy part about Kittle is he doesn't even have to really be involved in the passing game to be effective. He's an absolute stud in the running game, and not just as a blocker either. Like, he gets some of these screens and some of these like jet motions, or he gets these like handoffs or pitches or sort of like behind the line of scrimmage throws and all these sorts of things, and he can take them, the distance. He can get a lot of yards after the catch with those, and he can also act as a decoy on routes to help other guys get open. So if the Packers don't find a way to contain him, it could be, like I said, it could be a long day. And my fourth major key is going to be Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Okay, now if you go back and look at Week 3, he was a perfect 16 for 16 for 146 yards and a tutty when getting the ball out 2.5 seconds or faster. Stat that in your pipe and smoke it. Now, I think the Packers need to take note and execute accordingly. And that's not to say that the Packers shouldn't take any shots deep, but after rewatching the game the other day, I honestly believe the quick, rhythmic, timing-based offense coupled with an aggressive running attack is really going to be is really the best way, I should say, to beat this team. And I think they should be more selective with those plays when they take them down the field, because if you don't connect, it can really hurt you. I mean, because there were like 5 or 6 of those plays in the game in Week 3 that like almost cost the Packers because of a couple of different reasons. Mostly that like time of possession can be an issue with this team, because they're so fast and so physical, really on both sides of the ball. If you just pass, if you're passing so much, that stops the clock, okay? Which really, like, I guess you could say extends the game, makes the game longer, but it also creates a toll on your defense. When you get these quick 3 and outs, then you got to go back on the field and play again and stop the run against the 49ers and play this really physical game that can be really tiring, and you end up hurting your defense like that. Same thing on offense. If you're not sustaining those drives and you're just getting off the field really quickly, what happens is when the other team scores, you end up becoming desperate and you end up becoming more one-dimensional and you end up becoming predictable. So the Packers need to stay balanced. They need to really work that running game and be selective with those shot plays and not try to force it down the field when they see man coverage. And I know Rodgers, when he sees man coverage, he's automatically thinking, I'm going to go to Davante Adams deep. But I feel like Davante Adams is so good off the line of scrimmage. He's so good at getting separation. Get that ball to him quickly and let him get yards after the catch. And take those shot plays off play action, but be very selective with those shot plays, man. There you have it, Cheeseheads. Those are my major keys I have for this week's preview show. Thank you for joining me. Drop a comment below to let me know what you think, or just to say go Pack go. Okay? Until the next show, from everyone here at What's Packin' Sports Show, stay cheesy, Packer Nation, and remember, the Bears still suck.